Good afternoon and welcome to the Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm co-hosted with Vickie Helm. My name is Monique Wright. How you doing today, Vickie?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited about the conversation. Listen, we're new to this. We're just starting to get here. I think we're at episode like 12. Maybe we've done a dozen, but we're excited to see you and we're going to keep growing and getting better as we go. And so, thank you for being here today with me and talking about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, one of the things that I love to talk about with you are the wealth rules. And we're going to dive into those today just so that our audience can know and understand a few more rules that are going to be in our book that is launching May the 26th. Everybody can be looking forward to that. We are super excited about that. But let's just jump into the first rule of today.
Hmm.
So we're going to talk about rule number 4, which is what feels easiest today can reduce your options tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's a big one. That's a big one because there is so much to unpack about that rule. And it's like, what feels easy today can really tighten your options tomorrow. So I want to talk about the first one that comes to my mind is credit. When you're
Yes.
with that credit card and you're out there, and especially when you're young, because they hit you in college. And I remember, CU Boulder, Chem 140. And you filled out that thing and they gave you either a t-shirt or a Snickers bar, and most people took the Snickers bar. But then you got that $2,500 credit, and you told yourself it was smart because you were building credit, and that's what they
Hmm.
told you. And so I took the credit card and I thought, like every other stupid college student, that it was the job was to fill that credit card up first and fast. So you're, you know, going out to dinner, you're buying clothes, and there's something that feels so gratifying. It's so gratifying to be able to go, I want this and not have to think about spending it. You're just picking it
Right.
up. You sometimes you don't even care. You're like, here's that, back then $100 blouse, and you're like, look at my new whatever it is, and you're not thinking about paying it later. And what happened was that thing that looks so, it feels like you have options and it's so smart and you do it anyway.
Hmm.
And then the bill comes in and you're like, what? And the
Yeah.
minimum payment for a college student is like, what? I don't know if you did that, but to me that option felt terrible, after it comes in.
I remember just going on the college campus, first day like orientation, and they had all the little stands, different clubs you could join, the sports clubs, credit. And they had
Mhm.
frisbees. They didn't have the Snickers, they had frisbees, and they did have t-shirts, and they had little giveaways. So you put your name, into a drawing, but they never explained to you what an APR is, that
Yeah.
you had to pay it back, what would happen if you didn't pay it back, because a lot of us didn't have the extra disposable income. But it also created habits that we start using to, up until now, until we know better. We're just the same way we're swiping it in college, or we're going to the mall, we're going out to eat. You know, I want a new bag right now. I want a new car.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So we have only changed age. We haven't really changed. Um, I see somebody showing some love, so we
Yeah,
appreciate it.
it's
But we
Nisha.
don't.
Nisha jumped on.
Oh,
Nice to see you,
hello,
Nisha.
Nisha. Good to see you. But we haven't even still been taught what the rules are behind credit, why they want the high credit score. Now, I mean, once you're in college, first of all, you already have student loan debt. Now you got credit card debt. Now your credit is completely jacked up. So if you're ever trying to get further ahead in life, you already have these obstacles in the very beginning that are stopping you from actually achieving wealth, understanding wealth, and becoming true wealth, sovereign wealth participant in life because you're already trapped in the bondage of credit. No
Yeah.
one taught us in high school, no one taught us at home, honestly, what to do when you got to college if someone presented you with a credit card. You thought it was
Mhm.
just extra money that you can spend a lot and pay a little bit over time.
And this is so important what you're saying. It's so important because the decisions you make is if they sat down, like you're there's all the clubs, everything you can, here's credit, fill this out, we'll give you a t-shirt. What if in that hall they had all the other options for investments that if
Mhm.
they stopped you? Why is it that they put the debt in front of you? Why didn't they put somebody who even helped you invest in the market? Like if you were going down I'm not a market investor, but I'd rather invest in the market than invest in debt.
Right.
But that's the thing. People don't know. This is like you have people who advise you as to how you should invest. So they either tell you, here you have permission based wealth, go over here, or what feels like freedom, but really isn't. It's so enslaving. Debt is so enslaving. And you
Agreed.
put it over there on that side. What would happen if they gave the college students different choices, different education? And why have they not done that in the past? Why have they not, put together that kind of education? Well, it's by design.
Yes.
The reason we talk about the hidden rules right now, and I know it's like, well, you're promoting your book. Yes, yes, I am. I'm promoting that you understand the wealth rules in the way that we do so that you're making different decisions. Or you can see the vast array of decisions that are available to you to build wealth. And what happens is they're only giving you the things that benefit their system. They're not giving you the information that is benefiting
Not
you.
at all.
It's like they don't have your best interest at heart. So we stop right now and we take a look at that. It's like, what kind of options do you have that are going to tie up your options later? Well,
Mhm.
when we're in college and we're young people and we start out with that debt, that option lowers our income to debt ratio. So when you get out of college and you're looking for your first home or you're looking to save your money, where did they tell you to save it? So when you're young, you're just looking for a job. You just want to get
Mhm.
some experience under your belt. You're
Right.
looking for how to get to the next level, how to get to the next level, how to get to the next level. And the thing that you're doing is you're trying to get to the next level of wealth. You're not
Mhm.
trying to get to the next level of debt. But what are they bringing you? They're bringing you the next level of debt. So
That-
what happens? They start saying, here's your debt card. Here you are in
mhm.
college. But now you got to make sure that your credit score, they get you focused on your credit score. And
Mhm.
now they're just saying, okay, let's look for that credit score. This is the next thing. So, what do you got to do in order to make a good credit score happen? You got to pay on time,
Yes.
and it's debt.
The thing about debt is that it's easy. They make
Mhm.
ownership hard, but if you're in debt, your ownership is going to be delayed. You're not going to
Mhm.
be able to get wealth and ownership and control of anything if you're burdened in debt. But they make it easy, accessible. They want you to get it. They keep shoving it down your throat. Even if you have a small job, even if you're working on campus, barely making any money, you're approved. You're approved. You can get a student car. Why? You don't have any money. Why are you able to get a student credit card?
Yeah.
They want it to be easy.
And that's the thing. We're so married to convenience. And I want to talk to you about something you just said. And I want to say more about that. And the thing is, credit is convenient and easy up front, and it's
Mhm.
hard on the back. And you were saying wealth up front is hard at the front and easier on the back and that back end. And I want to ask you, Now that we have 2020 vision because we're been out of college and have families and everything else, I'm like, when we take a look at building wealth, if we could redo everything and flip it and say, I
Hmm.
would do this now, what would it be?
I would do a couple things different. I would know what I know now. I would find somebody that was in a good financial situation and ask them more questions. What do you think about this before I started signing up? And if I trusted their opinion and if they cared about my livelihood, then they might tell me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is they always tell you to get a job, keep a job, stable income, high credit score. Now that I know better, now that I know that you're 9 to 5, as long as you're working for somebody else, there's a threshold.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to get beyond that. They're only going to be able to pay you so much. You're not going to own the company. Just looking back at that in retrospect, I would definitely have started off. Even though they say get experience, I would have got experience as a business owner. I would have got a
Right.
mentor. I would have got somebody that had the experience that can teach me. I mean, I've done that later on in life, but I would have done that even further up front.
Mm-hmm.
Had more people show you, teach you, hey, this is the shortcut. Don't go down that way. Do this to help me not be so job dependent, help me not be so reliant on self esteem and the
Yeah.
added girls and the pats on the back and the sales
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
I would have had so much self love that I would have had more self control. That self
Beautiful.
control would allow my mindset to position me different. I wouldn't have
Mm.
been competing against everybody else. I'd have been competing against myself to better myself to go further. And that's another thing that I think that young people don't really understand because we don't teach them that. We don't sit down and tell them it's okay for you to love yourself and compete with you. You don't have to compete with the person next to you all the time and hate them and
Yeah.
oh my God, they have better shoes and that's why they're getting promoted or they're so smart. I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't have that mom and dad,
Yeah.
all these excuses because they're getting ahead to the point where you start doing things that are unethical. I know we talked about that before, but sales is dog eat dog.
Yeah.
And
And it's weird because in sales, I was thinking about what would I do that was different. I wouldn't
mhm,
have gone to college at first,
mhm,
and done. Um, I would have done. Hey, Baron, nice to see you on. Thanks for joining us. I wouldn't have gone to college. Now, if I were here, I would look at the skill sets that I needed to have, and all of them are available online except one skill set you have
mhm,
to have experience with, and that's sales. And there's several types of sales. And you're right, sales can be dog eat dog. And I think everybody needs to go to the dog eat dog sales. Now, I want to let you know while I was in college, um, uh, I watched some show about, some news documentary show where they were talking about skill sets for, that era that I was growing up in. And one of the funny things was that summer, I looked at it and they were like, sales is like the number one skill. And I was thinking to myself, I had sold, but I had sold ignorantly. I didn't sell because somebody taught me all the Tom Hopkins sales stuff or
yes,
whatever it
mhm,
is. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So I was there and I was thinking, well, can I sell? And it's the summertime. And during the summertime, I thought, well, I'll get a sales job, and I'll go door to door because I need to know that I can sell.
right.
So I went, now I'm aging myself. So shut up. um, I went door to door selling encyclopedias for a summer. I had a summer job that was like a normal summer job. And then I went to Arizona. I went to that thing. And one of the best things I learned was how to sell door to door. And
Mhm.
when they let you in the door and you're selling encyclopedias, you have to do the presentation. So I
Yes.
learned presentation skills,
Mhm.
and I learned communication skills, and I learned, how to overcome objection skills. I think
Right.
those are great skills. Then I learned really ethical selling, et cetera, et cetera. And so those skills, the pressure skills you want to learn, and the FOMO skills
Mhm.
you want to learn, and the ethical skills you want to learn, because what you want to
Yes.
do is be well rounded at
Mhm.
the sales skills, so that when you're actually talking to the person, you want to help them make a good choice to get what they want. Or if they're too scared or if they're too nervous, you want to help them overcome those things so they can really use their discernment. So, sales skills right now. And then if I were in college or college age right now, I'd learn sales skills
Mhm.
online, go to YouTube, do your thing,
Right.
get AI skills, and don't be wackadoodle. You don't need to know 20 AI skills. You need to master like maybe 3 to 5 skills. Like if I were going to
Mhm.
start right now, I would learn apps, vibe coding, at Claude and GTP, GPT. That's what I would learn. And as a
Right.
matter of fact, I am learning those. I
Mm.
do them every day, all the time, because they help you bring up some creative ideas, and then you're making an app. Like I'm gonna ring out right now and just tell you that Monique has made the most fabulous app. And it's not time to talk about it or release it, but I will tell you it's going to blow your mind and help you build real wealth. So
Mm.
the thing is, you don't actually learn about wealth, you learn about a path that they want you to have. So
Right.
if you're starting in this place right now, it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't care if you're 70 or 80. I don't care. Right
Mm.
now, the availability of online, it doesn't know that you're 70 or 80.
Right.
It doesn't know if you're 60. It knows that you've learned this, you're good at this, and what is mattering is results. And so the other trap to doing this by convenience is AI and all the tools that are coming out right now. This is the thing. You're either doing the easy stuff or the hard stuff. The
Yes.
easy stuff is to use it. Like chat, where's this restaurant? And then the map pulls up for you and you don't even have to know how to read a map anymore.
Right.
So we've kind of outsourced that. We use the AI for convenience, then that's a trap. If
Yes.
you learn how to develop AI, that's the wealth. So you have to look at everything now and say, how am I using it? Am I using it as a source of convenience, or am I using it as a source of building wealth? Because now we have physical wealth, and for the first time in history, we have digital wealth. And
Yes.
digital wealth is making
Mhm.
people wicked, wicked rich right now. What did you want to share?
With AI, and I love how you said it doesn't know your age, right? It doesn't know your age. You can be, 10, you can be 100. It doesn't know, but you have access to it. And because you have access to it, it is changing the game. But if you are still in the compliance phase, if you are still the easiest way, what's number four? The what feels easiest today can reduce your options tomorrow.
Yeah.
And AI will reduce your leverage
Yeah.
if you don't operate like an infrastructure. And if you're just using it like it's Google, just asking it questions and trying to get an answer instead of building on it and building with it, even if you ask ChatGPT or Cloud or Perplexity, what should I do? If I were you, what should I do? How can I utilize you the best? It will tell you. And they still won't act on it because they're in that compliance mode. They're in the easiest. Well, that's hard. I just
Yeah.
read a whole paragraph and I don't want to do that. So even though you have access, and I'm sure the world knows AI can make people rich. It's doing the work. We've gotten to a place where we're just so complacent that I'd rather just get the information and let somebody else do it than build it out and learn how to build it. I just want to use it. That's not going to increase your wealth.
It's so interesting how we're outsourcing all of our conveniences and we think it looks cool and it is cool. We've got the latest phone, we've got the latest device, it's all trendy and it's in. And I remember back in the day when phones didn't exist and they were all landlines. We didn't have, you know, any kind of smartphone or flip phone, even. And so what happened was you had to memorize the phone numbers that were
Yes.
most important to you.
Hmm.
So there was your mom, your dad, your school, your boyfriend, your whatever it was that was there, your best friend, you knew their numbers here. And
Yeah.
the more numbers you knew, the smarter you looked. Like if you had 22 phone numbers memorized, and that was my biggest there. I had 22 numbers memorized. So I had people on speed dial. And part of my acumen that people loved was the ability for my memory to hang on to numbers. Like when I was at work, people would be like, "Hey, we need our something engineer." And I'd be like, you know, 720-594-673-2 or whatever, and
Hmm.
I'd be able to spit it out across the room. And that was an evaluating thing. And if you take a look at when I was a police officer, you
Hmm.
had to know the city that you served, every little address, every little nook and cranny. And like in London, the blackie taxis that are out there, all of them
Hmm.
had to learn the entire street patterns of um London, and that's why they get paid so much, because they do something that they had to know everything when they're on their scooters. They could not get a license until there's a word
Wow.
even for it. It's so big. So even when I was a cop, you had to learn every bit of that, everything. And now I wonder if it comes through and you push a button, it comes on your map and you're just turning on your lights and sirens. Or I know in London you don't actually have to have that memory thing, that
Hmm.
set of wealth. The wealth, it was the knowledge base.
Yes.
And now the wealth isn't necessarily the knowledge base. Like we outsource our phone numbers, we
Hmm.
outsource even directions. We don't have to buy maps anymore and have them in our car. Like, well, here's the map of the town. What were you going to say?
We have those. And I have to show each one how to use it. Only because what would happen if your phone went down? What would
Yep.
happen if your GPS
Yeah.
went down? How would you know how to get to X, Y, and Z? And I need you to know that. I need you to know street signs, highways, how it switches over. What would be your strategy if the internet went down? What if
Totally.
you didn't have your cell phone? You would be in trouble, but not my case. You're going to be smart enough to know how to get out there. And if somebody has the map, you're going to say, I mean, we have them. But if they didn't have them on them, ask somebody, hey, do you have a map so I can get directions to where I'm going? That is one of the things that it just breaks my heart that we're not teaching, regardless of technology. There's some things that we've still got to teach the next generation, or they're not going to know how to navigate the world. What are we saying when we're like, okay, just put the address in the GPS? You don't even really know how you got there. Turn here, turn there. You don't know what the street name was. You don't know, how many turns it was to get to the next turn. If the street light goes out, if there's construction, how do you navigate that? And that's going to
Absolutely.
be a problem with technology as it grows. We're just going to become more and more dependent on the
That's right.
output and not, you know, thinking for
And there's
ourselves.
a bit of discernment that needs to happen,
Yes.
because we're using those things like, oh, we'll go to this restaurant. We just put it in maps, and now it shows up on our screens in our
Hmm.
cars, and you're just following this, and you have Siri, turn left at 300 feet. You know, 1 mile till the next left turn. You're
Yeah.
10 miles from this city, next city. And that's the whole thing. It's like we're losing discernment. And what did they say? If you don't use it, you lose it,
Yes.
because it sounds like, and I just want to be clear. Um, how many of us use Morse code or even know what Morse code is? I mean,
Right.
there's no use for it now.
Hmm.
And so, not a lot of us are like, ooh, I got to know Morse code. Or, when they do that, uh, when they do that on talk shows, they put young people in front of a phone and say, how do you use this dial rotor phone? And they're all like, I don't know.
You're like, what
You
is
know,
that? That's a phone?
Mhm. I know. And so it can be outdated. And so what happens here is you don't want part of you to become outdated because you're not using the
Hmm.
conveniences correctly, or you have no discernment, and you don't know what you don't know. And when you're young, you're innocent. You go to college and you do what they tell you. You
Hmm.
need a credit card. Here's $2,500. Or go out and take student loans. And remember that even though you're $100,000 in debt, there are no jobs for you right now. So it's like you have these things. Where are your opportunity doors to build wealth? And I'm going to tell you, relevant skill sets are number one. So
Yes.
AI is a relevant skill set. And
Hmm.
understanding the hidden rules is a relevant skill set. Why? Because you suddenly are less gullible. You are
Yes.
so absolutely open to seeing the truth. You know when you're being manipulated or not. So, those hidden rules that we're talking about today, I don't care what age you are right now, things are changing, things are moving. And what they don't want you to know is being revealed. And we're helping do that today with this hidden rules. And this one, when you have options,
Hmm.
it's how do you give yourself options? And you want relevant skill sets. Sales are always going to be relevant because sales are when people talk to people. People talk to people. Now, let me just ask you, don't you think there are going to be AI agents very soon who have a list of every way to close you and every way to speak to you? Once they know your triggers, once they
Hmm.
know what triggers you in the right way, they're going to know how to speak to you, talk to you. These agents are going to be able to close the deal
Yes.
sometimes. So when we get to the point where it's human to human, you have to have discernment because you're not going to know whether you're talking to an AI or you're talking to a person unless the person avoids saying, I'm a person. So when you call in the phone, are you a person or you AI? I can help you. It's so nice to be talking to you. It's going to get smoother as it goes. And what happens is if you don't have discernment, you're a follower and
Yeah.
you're actually a target. And so this is the thing about your options for wealth right now. It looks convenient right now, but it is going to make things harder later. Or you can do the
Hmm.
hard now and have the convenience
Later.
later.
One thing that you're talking about, what the Morse code, that they only use that really in emergency situations, right?
Yeah.
But how glad would you be that you had known that in an emergency situation? Like I tell my kids, you may never use the map, right? Like in your lifetime, you may never have to. But just knowing it's like, oh my God, like we're sitting here, it's taking all day. I'm like, no, I want you to tell me how to, or scavenger hunts. That's a great way. But once AI figures out exactly what you like, what you don't like, what you that you don't like to read, that you don't want, that you keep asking it for the simple things instead of the hard things,
Yeah.
it knows exactly how to position the sale to make you buy more and more. And I think what on ChatGPT now, you can purchase things. And I was like, somebody's going to make a lot of money off of that only because now they have your shopping patterns. Now they know your weaknesses. And without discernment, You're just going to be on there and it's just going to be feeding you stuff because you already feel like it knows more than you. Or you wouldn't be
Mhm.
asking it questions, right? You wouldn't ask it, what should I do? Now you're asking it, what should I buy? And it's going to give you the suggestions
Yeah.
and you're going to be
You know
shopping.
you know what people don't wanna admit? They don't want to admit that they're losing discernment. They don't want to admit that they're not thinking for themselves. They don't want to admit that something else is starting to seep into the decision-making process, that they think they have reasoning and a type of critical thinking that is literally dissolving. There
Yeah.
isn't so much critical thinking as there's AI critically thinking about you, but you're not critically thinking about you. So who do you think is going to win that game? And the
AI.
thing is,
Yeah.
if we are not willing to admit to ourselves that we can be gullible, controllable, programmable, all of those things that are happening to people right now, discernment is a type of stewardship. And if
Hmm.
you can't have this stewardship over your own reasoning and say to yourself, I see this happening. So it's like the way they get you involved isn't to rub you wrong, it's to rub
Right.
you correctly. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, I love this. I want to save the trees, save the whales, save the this. I'm really about this. And they're gathering all the data on it.
Hmm.
And they know what your trigger points on. So even politically, or especially politically,
Hmm.
nobody wants to admit that they're following, that they're not thinking, that they don't everybody wants to believe that they are so smart that they're outsmarting AI. And I have news for you. That's not true, honey. And we have to be willing to accept that moving forward, AI wants to give you all the convenience that you can feel good about. And, that way you want relief. You
Hmm.
want relief in your life. The relief is, oh my God, it's so hard right now. Inflation is up. This is up. That
Right.
is up. Well, let me just ask you something. If you made an extra $100,000 a month, would you even be worried about gas prices right now? If you made an extra $100,000 a month right now, would you have somebody else build you a garden in the backyard so you had food growing?
Hmm.
How would you be living differently? So instead of solving the actual problem, we are solving for our emotional feeling versus
Yes.
our stability. And they're soothing you all the way through. They're soothing you at every level. Look how easy it is to use this. Look how fast, quick, and cool this is.
Hmm.
Look at how much this can help you save time, save money, save, because that's a big deal right now.
Hmm.
If you can save people anything, they're like, save your work, save your productivity, outsource this. When you get to the point where you have AI agents working for you in order to have passive income just streaming in, doesn't that sound like lovely? It it patterns us to stop thinking, doing,
Hmm.
behaving, and literally advocating for ourselves. And this is what happens when you're using something today that is going to make tomorrow very tight. It's not just debt, it's reasoning and critical thinking skills. And so in that place where that you're going to in this future,
Hmm.
if we get so reliant that we're just talking to Siri all day long, Siri, tell me about this. Siri, tell me about that. Siri, play this song. What should I make for dinner? Where's the recipe for this? Everything is so, there's no thinking for yourself. What is that
And
going
then
to do to you? Go ahead.
whenever they, whenever someone is constantly, shifting their control to another person or another system, all it's doing is create independency on that person or on that thing. And then they start like, at first, chat is free. Okay, we want to gather your information. Now you get the premium. Now they want you to spend money. You are giving them the information. Everything is free. They're learning you. Now you're dependent on them. What happens when they start taking some of that dependence away, or some of what they're giving you away?
Yeah.
Now you're avoiding control on your own. Now you got to find something else to be dependent on, or you're just going to be spending more money. Whenever I start thinking about new technology, new systems, because I'm all about systems, I'm all about
Mhm.
making my life easier and how can I organize things so that I don't have to do all the work.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the input, but how can I use it to help me to
Yeah.
leverage in my favor, right? But then I'm like, okay, is it going to create dependency? And then later on, am I going to be avoiding ownership myself?
That's
If
right.
like, do I not want to do it? Is it going to be a burden? It's almost like when you're like, I don't feel like doing with my kids anymore. I don't know what to do with them. Here you go. Those are
Mhm.
your kids. You
Yeah.
still got to raise them. You still got to be in charge of them. You just can't.
Yeah.
You're just giving your power away. You're giving your ownership away. You're like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it anymore. It's becoming too stressful. My job is stressful. I mean, all of that is created so that you will give them and become
Yeah.
more compliant, but give them your control. And sometimes we just got to stop and think and cause the friction in order for us to get to the next point where we can say we still have control. I might give you a little bit, but I'm not going to give you everything.
That's right. I wanna backtrack this because the first rule we're talking about is number 4, and, what feels like convenience today that is going to, not, ruin your options for tomorrow is,
Mhm,
and this was so interesting, the way we're talking about it today, because one of the things that I heard you say is, um, you're teaching your kids skills that you still think are relevant. But what we're saying is when you give away your ability to think for yourself and your critical thinking, then
mhm,
your options for tomorrow are still going to be convenience based. And what I think she's expressing is so important for everyone, because the thing is, you don't realize right now it's happening to you. It feels
mhm,
comfortable, it feels good, it feels like soothing, it feels powerful, it feels all kinds of good feels. And those good feelings are that's the thing that is going to make tomorrow harder. And the way we
mhm,
use that is like, oh my God, credit. Oh my God, convenience and credit. And now I want to talk about what she just said. It's like, you don't understand that everything you're doing when you do this market wealth and everything else, it looks
mhm,
convenient. I have Robinhood. I have this app on my phone. My app works so well, blah, 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 but it removes the power, your
yes.
you're giving your power away, like she said, and you're becoming permission based. Everything about this is all about asking permission to use your money, invest your
Mhm,
money, everything about it. So I don't know if you remember this, but I think you do. There's one of my favorite movies by Will Smith is obviously Hitch. I really like it. It's funny. It's a great movie. But there's this section in Hitch where the main female character, who I can't remember, Allegra Cole, she is
yes.
a very rich person, and this guy is trying to get with her, and he's such a dork, but he works and manages her money. So once a quarter they go in to this place, and he's looking at trying to shock and awe her into some sort of, I'm interested in him, so he can ask her out on a date. So he's in the big conference room, and Allegra Cole's character says, "Well, I'd like to invest some money in my friend's company. I've seen the business plan. I really like it, and I'd like to take out
Mhm.
some money so I can help him start his company." And the
Mhm.
guy says, "Oh?" So he thinks about it and he goes, "Well, how about if we bring you some options of where you can invest and we'll bring them to you the next time?" So he says no, essentially, to her
Mhm.
investing on her own money. She's
Right.
asking permission to invest it. And then suddenly he finds his shock and awe moment. He stands up and he's like, "You don't need a bunch of your dad's golf buddies to say if you want to invest a half million in your friend's company, I think that's what you should do. But we
Mhm.
don't understand that we're becoming permission based. It's her money." And that's what is happening all over. People are giving away their power to manage and steward their own wealth because they don't know what to do it, and they make it
Mhm.
so this looks easier, faster, and you don't have to think about it. Don't you worry. And the markets right now are so up. Nobody is paying attention to the cracks in this system. They're
Right.
just seeing people make money. And so they're jumping into that without saying or using any critical thinking or discernment. And what are they doing right now? I will tell you. AI agents are being built to run your investments so that the
Mhm.
trades happen faster and you can
Yes.
get in and out faster. So there are a lot of people who are like, so why is our market so high right now? Like, why is it so high? I have no idea. Is it that we're losing energy and oil in the Iran Straits right now where the
Right.
Strait of Hormuz is frozen? Is that why it's so high? Because
No, that's not why.
we have plenty of fuel and plenty of energy? No, that's not why. So is it because our companies are just so full of energy right now that they don't have to worry about their factories or their being able to trade? Or is it the tariffs? Is that why the market's so high? Are the tariffs that oh, wait, I know what it is. It's the inflation. The inflation is why that market is so high. Why is the market so high? As I look at the future and I look at the skills you need, this number
Mhm.
4 that we're talking about is the most important. I think the other rules that we're going to go over today are equally as important, but
Mhm.
this first rule is the most important. So this is the thing. If you want to take back your power, you have to stop wanting to be seduced into some relief, to be
Right.
soothed. You're like, oh my God, inflation is so high, energy and the cost of everything is going up, the country is falling apart. You have to stop wanting to be seduced, and you have to start wanting to protect yourself, advocate for yourself, and take your power back.
And where it says, what feels easiest today can reduce your options tomorrow. And
Hmm.
all I keep thinking about was how I felt a couple months back. And I was like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How, how did I get to the point where I'm so frustrated that I'm online looking for solutions? I can't even call my financial advisor. He doesn't have it. It's too risky. I mean,
Mhm.
write it out. Write it out.
That's always the answer. That's always their answer.
And I think people are going to wake up and they're going to say, how did I get here? Because the market was doing so great. The handwriting is on the wall. If we would just pay attention, yes, it takes a level of discernment, but even still, there's news articles. You can see what's going on in the world. You can see what's happening in China, I mean, in Asia, in Europe. You can see what is happening. You know, when you go to catch a flight, that some of your flights are being canceled. You know that some of your trips are now being put on hold. and you're talking to your friends that who are, like I travel with people on vacation. And so instead of going on vacation, because in July, I was supposed to be going with my husband, do some things, and it was like, maybe we don't go. Well, maybe we go, but we only go for, this many days.
Yeah.
Because what if something happens while we're gone?
Mhm.
I can't risk that
Yeah.
getting stuck in another country. Not right now. I have a family. So it's either you don't go or you adjust the time frame. Why are we doing that? We are actually in real time making adjustments in our lives. You can see, you're not going to wake up and say, how did I get stuck? You're going to know how you got stuck. And it was because you wanted the easiest way. And you didn't even see how it was going to reduce you tomorrow, how it was going to reduce your thinking and your discernment and your
Yeah.
ability to have your own control of your own things. And I just remember just sitting there having to come to Jesus moment like, wow,
Yeah.
you're smarter than that. Why are we doing this? And it's not that, it's because we want it. Like you're talking about this seduction. We want it. We want to be lured.
Yeah.
We want somebody to sell us something. We're like, hey, we got the money. Bring me the purse. Bring me the handbag. Bring me the shoes. I want to buy it all. We want to be engulfed in that environment without even thinking. And now it's just getting to the point where real life is happening and real changes are happening globally, where the
Yeah.
risk that you used to take last week, you can't take in the coming weeks. I mean,
That's right.
like I was looking online and I was reading how it said 85% of the sterile needles, and I was looking at medications and how transportation would affect medications and supplies. And it was saying sterile needles, 85% are outsourced, and it's one of the most critical things that we need. I don't know what the supply is that we have right now, but if our
Mhm.
demand got low, and it's only a small distribution company, right,
Yeah.
that controls it globally,
Mhm.
we can't stick ourselves with our own needles. How how will we get how will we get a blood transfusion if we needed one?
Wow. I see what
And
you're
so
saying.
just those numbers alone make me say, now we got to pay attention. No matter how well the market is doing, we know there's a reason why it shouldn't be doing well. We know there's a reason why
Mhm.
the private market should not be doing well.
Yeah.
We know these things. It's like, no, we're enjoying it right now. We're making money off of it. No, no, wake up,
Yeah, and if
wake
you
up.
look at some of the other data, I mean, everybody's like, "Here's where we're making money." Well, credit markets right now are tightening. Why? Because so many people are defaulting on car loans. They can't pay their car loans anymore, and they're having to be repossessed. And we have so many people in that market that are, it looks too eerily like something else. And private equity, face it, private equity is financially ruining lots of people.
Yeah.
It's not very regulated compared to the other financial markets because it has a lot to do with whatever disposable income you have that you want to
Mhm.
really put into a project or whatever they're pitching you. Because here's the thing, oh gosh, I want to. I'm having a brain fart. The contrarian thinker, Cody Sanchez. She does a
Mhm.
lot of what she calls boring businesses because they're stable businesses,
Yeah.
and boring businesses are not sexy. They don't make you look sexy, but when you get pitched something by private equity, they're like, "We're gonna go into this country and we're going to buy these hotels or we're going to build this thing over." That feels sexy. It's like new. It's a place where all the rich
Mhm.
people go, and owning a bunch of laundromats doesn't feel that fun.
Right.
But in her portfolio, she has bought
Mhm.
absolutely the kind of businesses that you have to steward. It
Yeah.
feels so much easier to give somebody else, a half a million, $1 million to invest in a project where you're going to receive all the, interest and you're going to receive some of the profits of everything. It feels really good, that pitch. And then when you lose all of this, and over here, this person still has that steady laundry thing, and they have to go
Hmm.
in and empty the money out of the machines like a vending machine operation, or you're doing it over and over. That doesn't
Yes.
seem fun. But we're not looking for fun. We're looking for financial stability. So, what
Hmm.
we do over here with this risk and what we create financial stability with, that is a key way of stabilizing your future, but it takes more work. And I just want to say that I've enjoyed talking about number four because it is the most important. It's like wealth takes reason, not convenience. And we have to
Absolutely.
have reason and critical thinking. And real wealth is not always sexy. It's something you grow over time, not overnight, but we have to start with the basics of what stewarding wealth is and what types of wealth are, where you're being seduced, where it's inconvenient,
Hmm.
what three skills you actually need, what are the things that are going to bring you over. So, number four was the most important part of the conversation. And
And
do you have anything you want to add?
we need self-control and discipline.
Yeah.
We're not going to be seduced if we have self-control. If you can tell yourself before I make a purchase, give me 3 days, you can do it. The only reason why we want something sexy is because high earners, we're in the mindset of I want to get to the next level. I want to make the next, I want to be the next Bill Gates. I want to be Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be a billionaire. How can I get there? I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm networking all the time. How can I do it without the substance that it takes emotionally, without needing that extra pat on the back, without somebody saying, here's a stamp of approval,
Hmm.
without being co-signed? You're going to have to be able to say, you know what, like you said, it's not sexy, the laundromat, the laser car wash, the vending machine business,
The
but
farm.
it's consistent. Yes, the farm, but it's consistent. And because it's
Mhm.
consistent, my blood pressure is not going to go up if I give $50,000, $60,000 to this private equity firm and don't get a return on it.
Mhm.
And now I need blood pressure medication because now I'm stressed out.
Yeah, I get you. That's kind of the thing we need to look at because we're betting on something that's new. It's risky. AI is new, it's risky. And it has some issues that it's got some obstacles in the future that are coming up. And do we have enough energy to run those
Run it.
things? And
Hmm.
do we have enough water? We don't know. And we cannot risk everything on it's like you want to be definitely in good investments. And if you want to
Yes.
risk some money, fine, but don't risk until you have stability assets that you can count on and create for yourselves. And so, what you're looking at, if you could just say in this optionality time, how does this benefit my future? How will this benefit my options? How will it
Hmm.
hurt my options? And maybe look at the need you think you're going to fill. Does this make me feel like I'm soothed or I feel relieved, it's outsourced? Does it make me feel excited like I'm gonna, hit the jackpot and I'm in
Hmm.
the casino that's going on? Because the casinos are all online now. Not very many people are going to gamble in Vegas. They go to Vegas to see shows. So it's like you are so manipulated right now. You
Hmm.
have so much propaganda being hit at you that if you want to grow wealth, the hidden rule right here is to be able to think for yourself. That's rule number four. Let's go to the next rule because I think we've almost spent an hour
Okay.
on that one, but it's the most important one.
It is a really good one. It
Yeah.
is a really good one. And that void, and what we're talking about just brings us right to hidden rule number 24. Hidden rule number 24 is if your safety depends on permission, it is not safety, it is compliance. And
Mhm.
this may be one of the most uncomfortable rules of all, only because we want to feel a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And we're so quick to be compliant. I don't know. We just do things without thinking. I'm starting to understand a little bit better by and by. But it's because we see the shiny object and everybody else is doing it. If I can protect my password, if I can protect this, if I can do that, then I'm safe. I'm securing my wealth. I'm securing my information. But they're just asking you for more information.
You know, it's true. We don't understand what living permission based is. What is happening, though, is that AI apps and all the things around us are changing us from having choices to permission. So
Hmm.
I have permission to buy this house, and the bank will lend me money because I have a good credit score. So you don't focus on building assets, you focus on building your credit score.
Right.
So I have permission to be in the market. I'm in my 401k, I'm in this, I'm in that. But if there's a health scare, an emergency scare, something where you needed access to your money, you're now paying dues and penalties and taxes on the money that's already been
Yes.
taxed because it's already been in the markets there. So, whatever access you want, you have to ask permission for it. And
Hmm.
so we don't understand that we are asking permission. May I go get my money? May I touch my money? May I, move my money? We get in a 401k and we put all this money in here. And in order to move it, when we want to move it into something else, we have to quit our job and wait a while until you become eligible. Eligibility, permission. Everybody's always this big buzzword. Girl, don't do this. Just don't ask permission. Go out and do it. Be free. Just blah, blah, blah. But you feel stuck. Now,
Hmm.
the average American, over 71% of the people feel stuck right now.
Right.
They're stuck on purpose. Every
Hmm.
time you move control to somewhere else, that stuckness is all about you becoming permission based. What they tell you is they don't tell you, like, if you had choices right now and somebody said, here's $100,000. You can buy and steward your wealth, or you can put that wealth in this market where it's going to earn 8 to 10% without you thinking about it
Hmm.
and just being there with you. And you have to ask permission to acquire it. And then if you do, we're going to take a third of whatever you want to pull out. Like if you want to pull out $10,000, we're going to take a third of that in penalties for you to get access to that money.
Hmm.
Or you could buy something else that you control that is at your fingertips when you want it. What would you do? Like nobody would buy that. So here's what I'm trying to say. Back in the day, they used to call credit cards charge cards. And they
Hmm.
had to change the name because nobody wanted a charge card. They realized this was getting in debt. So they changed it to credit card. It was something you earned that made you feel important and special. That's it. So the
Hmm.
thing is, when you charge something, you have a little more discernment in your mind. You're like, really, do I want to get this? They can't close the deal fast enough. So that kind of thinking is what's happening right now. They're making it comfortable. They'd never say permission based. That wouldn't, if you were like, let me see, I'm going to give you my money. And then I have to ask your permission to access my money. Hmm. I mean, but isn't that what a bank is? Because a bank can close at any moment, right? So we
Right.
have permission based thinking. That is what's controlling a lot of what's happening in our in our in our wealth creation. But what happens when you get permission based is suddenly you feel stuck. So here is the urgent need for money. for something,
Mhm.
urgent need for money, and all of a sudden you're like, "Well, if I take it from here, I'm gonna lose this much. If I take it from there, I'm gonna get penalties. If I don't do this, well, we have room on our credit card for it." So what happens is the emergency goes on the credit card and you're more stuck. You're more
Mhm.
stuck because you have to ask permission from every corner. And so those people who are asking permission from every corner, they have times where they just feel like any little bit of inflation, any little bit of anything, because everything is so stuck in these permission based systems and we don't have very much cash saved up. It all goes back into the debt. That's the
Mhm.
loop of stuckness that everybody is feeling. That's that's why we have to get to the point where when we look at, the system and we look at its convenience, we also don't look at how it makes us stuck.
Mhm. I know when I first started with my 401k, I felt it was a safe place to put it
Yeah.
because, like, you know what? I'm young, got my first job. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to retirement. All I know is that one day I do want to retire, put it with you. If there are penalties, if I want to buy a house, I got to take a loan out on my own money and pay it back with interest. Okay, because you know what? You're doing a fine job taking care of my money, protecting it for me. It's in a little, box in my mind where it's just growing and somebody's just feeding it and I'm just going to benefit from it. And then you get older and they're like, no, there's no social security. We don't know if the market's going to shift and take a downward turn or not. So then what do you do? What are you going to do? Because you gave all of your permission to somebody else to manage your finances for you for years, not hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars that are going to be taxed and penalized if you do access it. Like you said, what there's an emergency and your family needs that money. Well, that's your money.
That's right.
And they're like, no, we were protecting you from yourself. We knew you were going to spend it. We knew you weren't going to invest it and buy an asset because you're not that quick. You're not that smart. So we had to do it for you. And yes, you're going to pay us if you take it out because now you're not being smart. Now you don't have permission because
Mhm.
you're rationalizing it. You know what? I need to keep that money in there. I need to keep my money safe. And that's not safety at all. That's us just not allowing ourselves the opportunity to show up for ourselves, to prove to ourselves that if we buy an asset, yes, we can create real wealth ourselves. They don't want us to buy assets. They want us to continue to get in debt. And I love how you had um, phrased it the other day. The roads were paved with were paved with gold. Now they're paved with debt.
That's right. The streets. It's
The
like
streets.
welcome to America where the streets are paved with gold. That's what it was. Opportunity everywhere. You could bring your
Yeah.
dream to America and become and have the life you want. The streets were paved with gold. And since 1971, the streets have been paved with debt. Now they're paved with debt, and there is not enough gold on this planet to pay down that debt. I mean, that's the real truth of it. So America is not the streets are paved with gold. The streets are paved with debt. And that's how we operate. We're a debt operating country. It's a big fake
Right.
falsy lie, and they want to control your money and they want to have you not access it. But read number 24 again because I think everybody needs to hear this hidden rule.
If your safety depends on permission, it is not safety, it is compliance.
And you think about that because they always say, well, most Americans don't have $500 saved or $1,000 saved for some contingency of something like if a
Right.
refrigerator broke down or, the car needed a new fix it, whatever it is. And we keep thinking to ourselves, we just keep putting it on that debt machine. And it feels so relieving to have that debt. It's like it feels so soothing, so relieving. I can put my vacation I want on a
Mhm.
card, my car I want on a card. And we always they make it sound like you made a good decision when really you're just self indulgent and can't say no to yourself. And you can't wait long enough for you to have actual sovereign wealth and financial freedom. That you just keep being in the loop. It's not going away until we stop ourselves. And I got to be honest, it is one of the most addictive feelings I have ever felt. And I've done experiments with myself. And what
Mhm.
I've done is said, and I've stood in a store wanting to buy something where I'm like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get this because that's what your mind says. I want
Right.
that. I want this and I want this. We think in terms of how many choices do I have? We don't think in how free am I? And that's the difference. So we get in there and I'm like, can you just stand in that store for a moment and say no to yourself? No, you can't have that. I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds very parental to me. No, we can't have that. That's gonna ruin your dinner. I know you want that cookie, that donut, that whatever it is that, but you're gonna ruin your dinner, so you're gonna have to wait. And you feel so disappointed, like somebody controls what I get to eat and when. But you're a little kid. You don't have any
Mhm.
mind. You need that parenting. Or, somebody walks by and they're like, Mama, can I get these shoes? Mama, can I get this? A woman or a parent can feel like crap when they have to say no to their kids. They're like,
Right.
no, you haven't earned it, or you haven't saved it, or we can't afford it. Whatever your talk is, you don't ever want to say that to your kids. You always want to be the yes person.
Mhm.
Yes, you can have those shoes. Yes, I don't want my kid to be bullied. I want them to fit in. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to, and I'm like, feeling good about yourselves should have nothing to do with the clothes you wear, but it does. And
Mhm.
so these tactics that people use, um, we learn compliance at a very early age. And we're joiners, all of us. Face it. We're like, I want to
Mhm.
be in the
Oh yeah.
cool kid club. And
Mhm.
you're like that as an adult. I want to be in the cool kids club. So I know there's a lot of people who are moving against that, like the homesteaders. A lot of people are building little homesteads right
Mhm.
now. So they have their own chicken and their own food and maybe a couple of little goats. And some of the things that we enjoy, having as our home, but they want to have the coolest looking homestead. So
Mhm.
there's so much about us that wants to join or feel good or doing that. And that's the easiest way to sell people. And
Yes.
it's like, it's why commercials are like, well, if you have this, you're going to look better, feel better. It does this better. It's why supplements sell at the $1 trillion market cap. So,
The thing I was thinking about when you were talking about one getting permission with your 401k and
mhm.
how Americans don't have $500 in the bank. I'm like, I have money for a rainy day, but it's sitting in my 401k and I don't have access to it. Thank you very much. You know, how many people, I wonder what this stat is, and I need to write this down so I can look it up. What this stat is on how many people who they say don't have $500 in the bank, but actually have a 401k account. Because access is access. I mean, my money is my money, but if I can't access it, no, I don't. I don't have a rainy day fund because if a
Yeah.
rainy day happens, I will have to use my credit card.
Mhm.
You're forced to make another option if you have the money or not. And when we're talking about the cool kids club and wanting to fit in, and I've been in the store myself, and I've done a couple of experiments. Doesn't work out well because here comes my family. They'll say, "Well, why didn't you get it? Why didn't you get it? You had the money. How come you didn't get it? You know you wanted it." And I'm like, "No, I just wanted to test myself. But I can't say no to myself and feel good about it. But my 401k provider will tell me no and make it seem like it's okay and I won't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I can't
Interesting.
say no to myself and feel like, you know what, you made a good decision. But if I say, hey, I need $50,000 to buy a home, penalty free, tax free, everything else free, no, because now you got to pay it back with interest. I'm okay with that. I can't make it make sense because if I can let you tell me no, I can't access it, I can't have it, and if I do, I'm penalized. How come I can't tell myself no? Why am I saying, you know what, you
Mhm.
deserve it? You worked hard for it. That is
Yep.
your money.
Yep.
You can shop.
Mhm.
You have the money in the bank.
Mhm.
You worked for it. Go get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I did work for it. That is my money. I do deserve it and I can have it. So I will. But we let people and organizations tell us, no, that's how we get stuck in systems. We
Yeah.
don't want to be non-compliant because it's what everybody else is doing. Everybody else has done it and it looks good. Nobody wants to be the one that, like, right now, my situation, me being contrarian, that's not popular. Now I have financial advisors saying, you don't like us? No, it's not that I don't like you. I don't have a problem with you. I'm just saying now that I can buy my assets,
That's
I
right.
can I can make an assessment and say this private equity deal doesn't work for me and my family without the show, without all the handshakes, without being up at the hotel till 3 o'clock in the morning, being convinced why everybody else is doing it.
And you
Oh,
should
come
be.
on, come on.
Yeah. I know they did that with uh the vacation rentals that were in the 90s where everybody was buying timeshares and they would have that
Uh-huh.
kind of party and you were, I loved when I was in there I was like, "No, no, no. I don't want this. No, it doesn't meet my family's needs." And oh my god, the pressure sales. But there was something empowering about staying in my no.
Hmm.
There's something the second you recognize where you wanna be and not where somebody's trying to tell you where you wanna be, but everybody's doing this, but I don't care. And God bless my grandma for that. I gotta tell you, that old saying, and I know some of you heard it, "If everybody was gonna jump off the Brooklyn Bridge or the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, would you jump too?"
Would you
And
do it
but
too?
that's the thing. That's the real thing. If grandma didn't say that to me, if everybody was gonna do this, would you do this too? And I was like, wow. When you're a little kid, you don't think about that. You're like, oh, grandma, or oh, mom, whatever it is. But as you grow up, you start thinking, would if these people do it, will you do this true too? Can you be okay not fitting in? That's how you find your no. I'm okay not fitting in. I'm like, I'm a woman. I am on a podcast. I don't look at me. I don't wear any makeup at all. I don't dye my hair. I'm not one of those women who are like all the beauty and the perfumes and the this, that's just not who I am. But what I am, I'm okay with being me and liking what I like. So,
Hmm.
what do I like? I love living where my spontaneity rules my day. If in the middle of the day, the girls call and say, "We're going to lunch over at this place. You want to meet us there?" And I want to go, I want to go. And if
Hmm.
somebody says to me, "We're going to the dog park. Do you want to meet us at the dog park and my dog can go play?" I'm all about being able to control my time in that way. If somebody says, "Hey, should we do a podcast and talk to the people?" Yes. I'm not without discipline of some sort, but my choices are all about being present with what is making me truly happy and truly joyful. And like sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the times, it's like going out and watering my garden is the most
Hmm.
peaceful thing I could do. All the flowers are coming up, and there's a lot of joy for me to do that. Now, I like mountain biking. And I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie to you, I probably have had 6 bicycles, and I am like, I like that bike and I want it, and I like that bike and I want it. So I have a fat tire bike, then I have a mountain bike, and then I have an
Mhm.
electric bike. And when I look at the bike I want and I go to purchase that bike, I purchase the very expensive bike that I want. I don't,
Mhm.
I'm like, if I know that that's it. But I'm not one of those people who are really into cars. And I'm just like, they're so utilitarian. And I don't need a new one every 2 years just so I look cool. Now, I admit that I did. Those leases come up and you're like, yes, I'll take the brand new one. Yes, I'll take the brand new one. And now it's like there's something very empowering about going in the dealership and saying, okay, I'm not buying a Benz. I'm going to buy something practical like a Jeep or
Mhm.
Subaru, but I'm going to pay cash for the whole thing. And the
Right.
power of feeling like, here it is, I just pay cash, and or you write a check, which is not usual at the dealer. There's some empowerment of me owning it versus financing it that makes my no feel strong. Like my no for this.
I'm going to get there. I mean, I'm on my way there now. But
Mhm.
it's something about, like you were talking about the vacation places. I know that they are master salespeople in the world.
Yes.
And what they will do is manipulate you. They will bring somebody to you. These private equity meets, they will say, "Oh, that person just bought it,"
Yeah.
or I'll bring somebody in that bought one, and they're going to tell you their story. It's
Yeah.
never a bad horror story. It's always
Yeah.
the best story that they ever can come up with, so they can help close the deal. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you in the room and you're looking around, and then you're looking at somebody, and they're like, "You're not doing it, are you?" And they're like, and they're signing on the line, and you're like, "Oh, they just bought it. I can buy one. Should you buy one? No, but you can." And so the pressure is there. They want to ask you, "Is it the money?" You're like, "No, it's not the money." Well, if it's not the money, then what is it? Why not? Why wouldn't you want to?
They do
But
ask those questions. And if you just said to them, something just doesn't feel right about the deal, I don't trust you, and I'm going to trust my gut, and my gut says no. You have to learn to feel like disliked, but you have to
yes,
just be honest with them. This deal is not for me. And I get it because they do that. They bring in the storyteller, they bring in all
hmm,
and then they're like, okay, so if it's a no right now, what can I do to make it a yes?
right.
You know?
And they ask you several questions. I mean, I'm in the sales industry, so I know that they ask you a series of prompting questions. They want to
Yeah.
get to the response. They want to build rapport. They want to get to know you. By getting to know you, they're really getting information from you,
Hmm.
just like the internet, but it's just downloading to a person. So you're telling them all your family business. You're telling them your financials, where you work, what do you do for a living. Oh, you're just telling them. You're bragging. You're telling them. You're going to the dealership. I can just tell you right now, like I don't have on a face of makeup. I typically wear makeup, right? But somebody will say, "Why do you have on makeup?" This is like years ago. "Why do you have on makeup?" I'm like, "Well, why did you do your hair? Why didn't you just wake up out of bed and just go, I'm just, why don't you wear wrinkled clothes?" Right? And some people are like, "Well, I will wear wrinkled clothes." And I'm like, "Well, you did today. Well, I'll wear them tomorrow." Because I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what anybody thinks. And I'm like, "Well, you ironed your clothes today and you combed your hair." So I put on makeup. And I went to the store and I had to buy the makeup that I like, which is typically the most expensive brand. But it's all brainwashed. And when you're free and you're like, "You know what? I don't care. I don't care about the status. I don't care about the car. I don't care about the zip code." But now you're bought into it. So it's almost like you're having surgery and they're dissecting little parts out of you that shouldn't have been in the first place. Or they're like, "You know what? This is cancerous. It's going to kill you. Let's get it now." And what started this small is now this big. And now I'm understanding a lot more about why I was doing what I was doing. Why? Because I had the income. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. Why? Because when you get to a certain level, this is what everybody does. This is what everybody does. And if you want to get to the next level, this is how you do it. the networking of, like, reason why you go to certain schools, Harvard, Yale, all the Ivy Leagues, is because of the networking. You get to
Mhm.
know people, you get to build business relationships, and it makes you feel good. Then when you get to corporate, you want to be able to say, I know such and such, they did this. What school do you go to? Everybody has their degree on the wall. Everybody knows what everybody does, what college they went to. What if you didn't go to college? What if you
Yeah.
were there and you made your money and you were successful, but you didn't go to college? Or let's say you went to a community college. Let's say you only went in the trade that you wanted.
Yeah.
Because you're in an environment where everybody else has that, you're going to feel a certain kind of way. Unless you're already mind strong and have self confidence and self love, that you're not going to do that. Like, I'm thinking about all the rules today and how it's just breaking down to, you're just giving away what is already yours for easier lifestyle,
Mhm.
for someone else to tell you if you can or can't, and then for safety. And really, you can't keep yourself safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point because the thing is, if you can't say no to yourself, then you're probably not going to be able to say no to someone else.
Hmm.
And how many people do you think who are salespeople understand where you can't say no? How many algorithms do you think are pitched to people who can't say no? Do you think they actually
Hmm.
have these things already figured out about what you can't say no to you, why you can't say no? Have they watched your shopping patterns enough to say they can't say no to this? Your ability to say no has been made like it's a criminal thing for you to say no, because you should always be the year of yes. Shonda Rhimes,
Hmm.
every day, that yes, yes, yes. We are thinking and looking at ourselves and saying yes is good, no is bad. That's not true. And in
No.
your mind, some of the best things, and the reason I love doing the podcast with Monique is because Monique has like the best BS detector. If it goes off, she's like, not good for my family. I think he's lying. Let's invest in that. Go on that. It's like her, there's something in her where and I love this too, because when she sees it, she's like, yes, no. And she stays with it. Not, yes, I can be talked out of it. That's not what happens. And that's the thing. You're being so manipulated and you don't want to admit it. None of us want to admit it. I don't want to think that I'm being manipulated. I want to think that I'm reasonable and I'm sharp and all the investments I make are absolutely wonderful. But I will tell you, one of the things that you absolutely need to even advocate or take back your
Hmm.
power is the ability for you to see your no and validate it and have it and see what it's protecting you from when you say no. Now,
Yeah.
what happens is a lot of times people say no because they can't afford it, not because
Mhm.
it's protecting them, not because they have this feeling that something ain't right. They think it's always no is comes with an underline of disappointment. Not my
Hmm.
no is empowering. No means no. It's a full sentence.
Right. Hmm.
Yes means yes. It's a full sentence. And those things that you're saying right there that I think are so important is that it's like when you get to the point where you're being pitched, and I will tell you this, there is levels that you graduate to. Like if you're broke, you're not going to get invited to a private equity deal. And if you make
Right.
five figures, even the upper five figures, you're not going to get invited to a private equity deal. But
No.
when you suddenly start making between a certain amount of money, and I'm going to start off at about, I think, 480,000, where it's a half million to a million. maybe 300,000, you're going to get pitched and invited to invest money in a project. A project, usually real estate projects, is where people
Mhm.
start out. They're like, I now have some, my 401ks full, my IRAs full, my mutual funds full. I have some backup cash. What am I going to
Yes.
do with it? And so that's
Mhm.
when they start pitching you. And it goes from here to about, I want to go 5 million, 10 million. That's probably where that level stops right there. And then your investment in companies and things goes differently. But what happens is when you start getting invited, the thing that you feel is you've arrived. You have finally got somewhere. I'm
Yes.
finally somebody. I finally am somebody because I arrived here. And then when they get a bunch of people in there and it's like, hi, we're all elite, it's all everybody rubbing everybody's ego. And they're like, watch me, I can afford this. I'm signing. There's no discernment in what you're signing. You haven't even said, let my attorney look at the contract first. You're just going
Nope.
ahead and going, I feel powerful. I've arrived. I can afford this. I am going to put this pool of money at risk. And usually for the first couple of times you get screwed over, or you're not getting money that you've made, and you haven't looked at the contract, or you haven't looked at what your accountant thinks of the contract, like, is the
Mhm.
mathing. And so when we get to the point where our brain is like performing wealth, is what Monique calls it. I call it just showing off. You're just showing off. You're not showing up, and you can either
Right.
show off or show up. And if show
Mhm.
up happens, there should be some red flags happening going, here's my question, here's my question, here's my question. But if the
Mhm.
thing happens when you're at that deal and you're on the table and you're like, something ain't right, you don't have to know what ain't right. You have to know that it's not right. And you have to trust yourself. And your no comes up. And when your no comes up, you can say, I don't know. I just don't feel right about this deal. And then they're going to ask you what doesn't feel right about it. And you're going to say, my attorney hasn't gone over the contract and you want me to close the deal so fast. You want to close this deal right now. And I don't trust your intentions, and I trust my gut. So I'm not signing. And I'm happy to say that. I'm happy to be considered a B word or anything else they have that feels
Mhm.
unreasonable. But I
That
steward me and I steward my wealth.
that goes back to another wealth rule about urgency. They create a sense of
Mhm.
urgency, and they know that if they dress it up and put a bow on it, they can make you buy anything.
Yep.
Especially coming their performing wealth. A lot of times, I'm about to tell too much, but they know who your friends are. Like you'll get an
Mhm.
invite, and I'm sure they've already done the research, LinkedIn, whatever, or they'll ask their friends, "Do you know anybody that you think might be interested in
Yep.
this?" And then they'll say, "Oh well, I know one or two people. I don't put the business out there." Then you get an invite, and then they'll call you on the phone and say, "Hey, somebody's going to call you about this, and it's a great opportunity." And then you're like, "Well, why would I not sign this?" "Well, haven't you done enough deals? Your friend told me that you invested in this by yourself, and you didn't need your financial. So why do you need them now? And how do you
That's
know all
right.
this information?" Like they
They
know
talk
where
you
to
out
hit
of
your ego.
protecting yourself. They do. And
Hmm.
that's why when the game comes on, I smile inside. And when my no is my no, I'll just stay in my no until they get the fact that, and I always tell them, you are wasting your money and time right now trying to get me to close the deal with you. I'm not going to do it. You'd be better off helping those people over there or those people there. Do you want to make money today or you just want to argue with me? I
Right.
just I'm not going to do the deal. And those are it's like it's there can be so much peer pressure at these things. So
Yes.
number 24, do me a favor and say it out loud again for everybody.
If your safety depends on permission, it is not safety, it is compliance. And then we have one more.
I want to go over that one too.
Number 51, which is wealth without sovereignty is fragile, and we make choices without permission.
Yes. Yes. We make choices without permission. I want to tell everybody, and I know most people know this, but my dad made his money illegally, and he could not take advantage, and thank God, of some of the ways that money is used once it's been, out there for people. And so when I was younger, and I mean in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm going to go with my early 20s, um, I kept socking my money away in, the bank first off, and then I I wanted to be a good investor. So I stupidly, well, I didn't. I became a police officer, and I was in the police and firemen's fund. And at that time it was producing 14%, which was rocket. I mean, the 90s when it rose up was very good to me in that police and firemen fund. But then I had profit sharing from another job that I had for like 6 or 7 years and had come in, when I was in my 20s. And I would have these pools of money that would come in from my 20s to my 30s. This is what I'm
Mhm.
talking about right now. So the internet isn't really there. I have pools of cash that are coming in, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I'm asking my dad, what should I do with them? And he told me something that I want to share with everybody that has helped me throughout my life. He's like, you want to have some things that you're invested in that you can't turn over quickly, like real estate. Once you have real estate, you can't do it. Or back then, it was silver and gold. You could buy it, but you'd have to
Mhm.
hold on to it in order for it to build equity. And then you wanted some things that you could flip pretty quickly. Like you can flip silver and gold pretty quickly. And then you wanted to have assets that not just grew equity over time, but grew by improvements. So for
Mhm.
me, your home, when you do improvements in your home, like let's say you had a pool in the backyard and you live in Arizona, a pool in the backyard is a good investment for a home.
Mhm.
Most people are going to use the pool, they want the pool, etc. And or if you add on and remodel or do something to make the
Right.
house more valuable, you would increase the equity. So he also wanted it to be smart. And he told me all these things where I was like, okay, here's fast cash if I need to flip it. Here's steady equity, long term equity, which I wanted to grow
Mhm.
and do. And here is improvement equity that comes in. And so, improvement, I'll tell you, if you are buying gold and silver, I'll tell you what improvement equity looks like. So, I'm very skilled at numismatics, which is coin collecting. There's just that geek in me. So I can either collect bullion gold or I can make a collection of gold eagles, and it can be a
Mhm.
full collection. When let's say double eagles, all the years, even the rare dates. So when I have the rare dates and I make the assembly of the collection, even though it's gold, it's numismatic gold, which is
Mhm.
building that equity. And now it's a full set. So people are more apt to want that full set for sale, especially billionaire collectors. They're like, okay, that gold, this is that system. Now I can buy the gold here, which is what most people do. And that's
Mhm.
good. It still builds equity, it's doing its thing. But this is that specialized kind of equity for gold or silver. You can do that with Morgan silver dollars and get all the Morgans in a good grade. including the 1893S. You want to get that one in the best grade you
Mhm.
can. And you've locked in a full collection, and that set of value skyrockets over a period of time because nobody's making an 1893S. They're going to make
Yeah.
more gold bullion. They'll just keep
Mhm.
making the gold bullion. But numismatics, they're not making any more Ben Franklin halves. They don't do that anymore. And as long as
No.
they don't do that, the value and the scarcity and the rarity of that is what
Yes.
goes up. And so when you get to the point where you're looking at value, it's the same with the type of neighborhood where you buy a home. And in that home, there are laws that protect the home because of
Mhm.
the how old the home is. Like right now, we're selling a home that is 100 years old. And in that 100 years old home, there are sometimes that if it's 200 years old, they don't want you to tear it down or remodel it. It
It's like
becomes like
historic. Mhm.
that's right. And so you're looking at what are you investing in? And so in that investment phase, in that when you start learning about how to make wealth stabilize because you're not going to sell it fast. And then I do
Right.
have you have bullion gold and bullion silver, but you know what it's for now. If you
Mhm.
needed fast cash, you take your bullion, you flip it, and you're like, here, I got my $5,000 I need right now. And
Mhm.
it keeps up with inflation. And then you have high, this is making scarcity and rarity. So, how can you take something that you own or have and make it scarcity and rarity? So, I'm going to give you an example. If you live in an HOA, you've given away your power to create scarcity and rarity in your home. Your home has to look like everybody else's because if it doesn't, then the neighborhood gets devalued. We don't want any sloppy stuff. But if you have a working farm that is making money, the scarcity that you have is you can't make money in your home over here unless you're an online business, but you can't use your home to make you money like you can with a farm. A farm you
Yes.
can live in, grow in, and it makes you money. It becomes a business. How many more write offs do you have when your home becomes a business and it's in an LLC versus an HOA?
Mhm.
It's the thing about creating scarcity and rarity that my father explained to me about anything. So the thing is, those people who have a vintage clothing store, that's a business based on scarcity and rarity. You
Mhm.
have to have the secondhand clothing because they're not sewing it or making it anymore.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, how do we how do we create wealth? Well, there's so many ways to create wealth. All you're sold is how to create relief, not create wealth. And
Mhm.
so when we take a look at the third, when we take a look at asking for permission, we are becoming more compliant, not more sovereign. So we want to learn ways to create sovereignty, to create the
Yes.
kind of wealth that needs to be um, that needs to surround us. It doesn't matter where you are in the game between digital wealth and physical wealth. You could pull yourself out of poverty. But in order to pull yourself out of poverty, you have to make the bridge from permission to sovereignty. You have to make this bridge. If you
Yes.
stay with this, you're going to be stuck and feel stuck. So that's kind of the wealth rules that I think are some of the most important ways to take a look at the future and begin to ask yourself those questions that are going to help you say no more often, especially
Yes.
to yourself. And I'm not no about the ice cream, no about the cookie, no about the, just no. You're going to have to educate yourself differently
Mhm.
so that you realize or have discernment between, because is more AI coming? You're going to be so seduced by everything because seducing you is now a closing tactic. They don't want to overcome objections. They want to soothe your pain. If they soothe your pain enough, you'll sign on the dotted line.
Yes. And it hasn't always been the case. It's more prevalent now than ever. Now that we've got more and more complacent and compliant, and I don't know. I just feel like this next wave of AI is really going to be something to something to deal with because those of us who are aware of how the system is working us and what we need to look for and have a certain level of discernment are going to be okay. But it's even attacking those of us who have discernment. It knows
Yeah.
you have discernment. So now it's like, oh, well, they're going to think contrarian to what everybody else thinks. How can we maneuver this now? So you really got to be sharp. You really got to start thinking,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. That's so
when
true.
I move, my next move has got to be something that isn't predictable. And
Yeah.
I feel like my life right now is not predictable. So a lot of systems in my life have been changing drastically, like just having a garden, just being from the city, just spending just my kids going to the garden, my husband going to the garden. The switch we're moving to now physically, our physical move, all that. I know AI doesn't know what to do with me at this point. It's like I got to figure her out, and I'm going to figure her out. I'm sure it's like we're going to figure her out. But it's like, okay, we do this, and she's not buying that anymore. Do this, and she doesn't want to see that anymore. Before it was a lot of visibility on my phone, a lot of news, financial information. Now it's about what items are going to be scarce with the oil shortage,
Yep.
food, the food industry. What can I plant? What are the pollinators? What are the complements? Like I'm starting to see my whole news feed and my YouTube channel have an evolution
Yeah.
from what it
Yeah.
was before.
Yeah. That's so awesome that you're saying that. I wonder, do you think that in the future, the way they program AI, do you think it's going to create more inflation and more um, turmoil, or do you think it's going to create more ease, more comfort, or more relief, or both?
Probably a little bit of both because you have to have. I think we're going to be separated by class. It's just going to be the top
Yeah.
class, the bottom class. No middle class. But also AI is going to create. Now everybody has access to all the information that everybody else has with AI
Hmm.
because everybody's been putting in information. AI learns and then it adapts, and now everybody has. It's like to me a ride share, right? Like we
Hmm.
hop in, hey, I'll pay, you pay, and then the more the people pay, the more we all have access to the same ride to the same destination, no matter who you are.
Hmm.
And with that, it's going to create a lot of opportunities for more people to get rich, not wealthy. They're going to be able to get more money. They're going to be able to create things and build things in real time that they didn't know how to before or didn't have access to before.
Hmm.
But I don't feel like AI is going to teach them how to actually build wealth. They're going to be assets that are still going to be ambiguous, or it's going to be made to seem more of a challenge. And people don't want
Hmm.
to be challenged right now. They just want ease.
That's
The
right.
world's going, you know, to war right now. Gas is high, food shortage, everything. I don't want anything else heavy. I want everything to be light and easy.
That's right.
And
That's
when
right.
that comes, even though you have the opportunity to build wealth, you're going to choose not to because it's just going to look
Yeah.
like a challenge. It's going to be too much.
Yeah. It's like
Unless
that's the
AI builds
thing.
it for us.
That's the thing. I wonder if the system has made all this turbulence so that the relief spending is so much higher, so much greater, and the need is there. I mean, is this, a system set up? I don't know. But what I do know is I want to have authority over my wealth, my
Hmm.
thinking, my discernment, my choices. I want to have authority. And if I have authority, it means I have to let go of the want for relief. So my authority has to deal with what are ways that help me feel relieved. And
Hmm.
I will tell you that spending money is the number one way people help themselves feel relieved. Well,
Well, they have
mine,
them. Do you think that they're going to have the money though? Do you think their prices and inflation are going to eat up the margin, and they won't have the money to spend?
that is happening right now. Margin is being eaten up by supply and demand and inflation and a K shaped economy. As long as
Hmm.
we have that K shaped economy where AI is, creating money, but it's not people creating money. So there is going to be a level of turbulence that I don't think we've ever seen before in history.
Hmm.
We have never been here before. And what do I mean by that? Well, energy runs everything, and it is eating up margin right now.
Yes.
And in America, the streets were paved with gold, but now the Americas are paved with debt. 39 trillion. We're getting close to $40 trillion in debt. There has
That's a lot.
never been a country who's ever been as in debt as we have. We've never been here before. And I remember Robert Kiyosaki saying one thing. He uses debt to buy assets. So he bought Bitcoin when it was really low. He bought gold when it was really low. He carries about $1 billion in debt, over $1 billion, maybe
Hmm.
1.2 or 5 or something like that. And of course, he's made money off his, assets that he's caught, and he that's how he runs his game. But I remember him saying, when you have $1 billion in debt, the bank is beholden to you. When you have thousands and millions of dollars in debt, you are beholden to the bank. So when
Hmm.
I look at the United States, I'm like, do we have enough debt that the world is beholden to us versus so little debt that we're beholden to them? So
Hmm.
it's kind of like if you were a third world broke country, you're beholden to everyone. But if you're the richest, most powerful nation in the world, are you beholden to is the world beholden to you because if you go bankrupt? So the number one product the United States makes and sells to the world is consumers. And if the consumers in the United States stopped consuming, just just slowed down the consuming.
The global economy.
That's right. And it would, like, we wouldn't even have to have a war. I I don't know why he has a war. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, I just am like, I don't know what his thought process was. I don't
Right.
know. I have my suspicions of why, but no politics. So I want to get to the point where I'm looking at the why. And
Hmm.
the other thing I have is in my sovereignty, do I bug in and stay where I'm out? Where I live, or do I bug out and I get out now? Do you have a plan for that? Or are you like, where I am is where I land, is where I plant my flag and stay? Because it may not be that fun to stay if the streets are paved with gold turns into the streets are paved with fire, or whatever it is that's coming from the.
That could be the reality of it.
Yeah. It's like, do you have a bug in plan? Do you have a bug out plan? Do you have a plan for food, both, convenient food and inconvenient food? Because I will tell you something, inconvenient food growers are going to be very wealthy because it's all about supply and demand. And
Hmm.
right now, you can go to, Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett's podcast, and look at the podcast where there was a risk management expert. And he said, we have enough fertilizer to grow for 2 billion people, but not 8. And think about that. So think about how costly food is going to get if that's the truth. So I just want to say that this topic, these three, I want you to read the three wealth rules. Just read the hidden rules that they don't want you to know. Number 4, number 51, and number 24. And just read them out again so people understand these three hidden rules. Please.
Hidden rule number 4, what feels easiest today can reduce your options tomorrow. I know we talked about that in depth at great
Yep.
length today. Number 24, if your safety depends on permission, it is not safety, it is compliance. And then number 51, wealth without sovereignty is fragile, and make choices without permission.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so permission based right now. And if you want to be wealthy, you have to flip that. That's why the rich get richer. They're not permission based people. And the masses, we're all permission based. I want to ask you if there's anything else that you want to add to any one of those three topics before we close down today's show, because I think they're so important. I don't want to leave anything out.
I had one thought and then I just had a brain fart and it left me. It was about, well, I know right now a lot of people are unsure about what's happening. A lot of people don't know what's going on in the world. A lot of people are trying to figure a lot of things out right now.
Yeah.
I know that's one of the reasons why we knew we wanted to do a podcast together. And you're an amazing co-host with a lot of knowledge. And it's just a wonderful time talking to you every single time we get on the air to share with our audience this information, especially writing the book together.
Yeah, that was
So
fun.
if somebody is looking to do anything, I would say the first thing is switch your mindset. I know we say this, but being permission based is going to keep you in such bondage mentally, financially, where you're asking for permission for your own money when you can steward your own wealth, and where if you just have self-control and discipline versus self-esteem issues. And that's a lot in one conversation. I know in one, thing to say, to do, but it's obtainable and it's doable. I'm living proof I'm doing it right now. And if we just take the hidden rules and just learn how to apply them one at a time, that way we can be unstuck. We can get out of the systems that we've been placed in. If you're wondering how you got stuck, you woke up one morning, we're like, what happened? How did I get here? We're explaining to you how, but we're also explaining to you how to get unstuck and how to move on from here and have sovereign wealth. So
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that I want to say is the Wealth Rules podcast comes on every Tuesday and Thursday right now, and we're hoping to get another day involved. But it comes Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you haven't subscribed, do me a favor, subscribe right now. These conversations, we have a lot, and we're going to continue having it over and over and over again until people realize how they got stuck, why they feel stuck, why they feel
yeah.
like they feel hopeless, why they can't get out of it. Now, we are going to be talking about how you can get out of these things. It doesn't matter where you are right now. If you're overwhelmed, if you're thinking of filing bankruptcy, if you have a gajillion dollars and you're about to lose it all because you're investing it in permission based wealth,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to go ahead and have these discussions so you have opportunities and choices. No matter where you are, we can turn this thing around. But the first thing you have to be able to do is think for yourself, advocate for yourself, want to take your power back, and find your no. And for that, I just want to say thank you for being on the podcast with us today. And you know what? I'll see you on Tuesday. We'll both see you on Tuesday and we'll have a great conversation then. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.